Welcome to Real Talk, Real Women. My name is Miriam Khalladi, and today we have corporate spokesperson and TV host, Mrs. Texas United States 2012, and Healthy Housewives cast member Lacey Pruett on the show. Welcome, Lacey. How are you?
Hi, Miriam. I'm doing good. I have a lot of roles.
My first question is about how did you first get interested in health and wellness?
Well, the health and wellness was obviously something that I became interested in while I was taking care of my own health and wellness. You learn different things as you grow up through life, and through the pageant competitions that I started at 19 years old, you can imagine I had coaches coming at me left and right, giving me the latest health tips, the latest diet recommendations, just the latest and greatest out there that helped me just perform my best. Well, Miriam, what happens is that you get different opinions on the matter. What is health to other people? It may not be the same that it might not be what health is to you. What other people consider wellness may not be what you consider wellness. So what I did was absorbed everybody's recommendations and kind of tried them out in my own life. Well, you can imagine some of those took and some of those didn't. And some of them kind of took me on a road of being really unhealthy. So what I wanted to help educate folks with now is that there's a proper way to care for your body and that you're in charge. It's great to go get recommendations from health coaches and nutritionists and doctors especially, but at the end of the day, you know how you feel and you know what works for your body.
And you wrote an unbelievably powerful chapter for our upcoming book called Never Give Up. And I wanted to touch upon some of the things you've written.
Absolutely. I love the topic of empowering women, empowering young ladies especially. A lot of my work through the Mrs. Texas year when I served was toward young women. I like to capture folks before they already are set in their ways, or they think that there's only one way to do certain things, or that there's only a one avenue that they have available to them. That is so wrong. The world is your oyster, as they say. So I like for young ladies to know that they can do whatever they want. And especially when it comes to their own health and wellness, they're the masters of that universe. So let's go gather all the good information that we can, and let's share it as fellow women, as fellow young ladies, fellow women, just sisters, just in this fight against anything evil that goes against what we want for our health and wellness. To further that thought, when I served as Mrs. Texas, one of my biggest platforms was women taking care of other women. And what I did was spoke on topics that that range from taking care of your own body, but also taking care of yourself holistically. I don't want folks to undermine the importance of emotional wellness, mental wellness. Physical wellness is important, but there's so many other areas of wellness. It's just very broad, and I don't want young ladies and women to get caught up in the physical aspects only, that they really kind of disregard their emotional state.
Right, great. And you start off by saying that you believe life is a stage. What do you mean by that?
Well, life has definitely been a stage for me. Growing up in the pageant system, competing on stage since I was 19, capturing titles like Miss San Antonio USA, Miss Lubbock USA, and then also most recently Mrs. Texas United States. My life has been a stage, but furthermore, I think it's been a stage for everybody. What I mean by that statement is that you're performing every day some role. We're all here on earth to do a role, whether you're mom, your wife, your career woman, your spokesperson. Some people will actually be on a physical stage and do fitness competitions, do pageant competitions, but you're also going to be in job interviews. You're also going to be competing for a spouse. You're going to be searching for the love of your life. You want to present your best, always. That's what I mean by life's a stage. I think that you always want to wake up, you want to dress up, and then you want to show up. And what I mean by that is you want to really be in the moment. You want to show your best, present your best self. I like to over-prepare and then just kind of roll with the flow so you can take advantage of life. It's fun to just run with it, but it's only fun if you've prepared appropriately.
You've been on numerous stages over the course of your career. from the stage of the Miss Texas USA to the stage of corporate America. What has been the most important lesson you've learned through all of your experiences?
Goodness, I'd say the most important, it kind of heads back to the golden rule, treat others as you wish to be treated. I think there's even a place for that in competition. Just because you're competitive, and I have a very competitive spirit, but I also think I'm a very loving person. Just because you're a competitor doesn't mean you have to turn serious on people. It doesn't mean that you have to be an aggressive competitor and, bring people down just to rise up. I think there's a place that you can lovingly compete, which means bring it, bring your all, but also respect the people that you're competing against. Respect that the people that you're working with. The greatest lesson: treat others as you wish to be treated. It's very simple. It's not mine, but I love emulating that every day because it's come back on me twofold, maybe even threefold. It feels good to treat others as you wish to be treated. So that's probably been my most important lesson. The second one is to bring it. Show your best. We all have our own individual traits and talents. If we don't showcase those, we're doing ourselves an injustice. Some folks out there will never know our talents or our gifts because we're insecure with promoting them. Self-promotion got kind of a bad rep there for a while because people assumed it was selfish. I don't think it's selfish at all. I think there's a way to self-promote, to share what you're doing with your life, and in a respectful way.
I agree. What a great mindset. and
Yeah.
I know that not, and I know that not conforming to the standards of this world, but rather being transformed by the renewing of your mind and creating your own normal, your own stage, has been one of your most transformational experiences. How does one go about creating their own normal?
Well, Miriam, I'll share that the reason that came to life for me is when I became a bonus mom, I call it. It's traditionally a stepmom role, but I just don't know that I like that title, so I made my own. When I became a bonus mom, when I married my husband, our life was not normal. There were struggles, there were challenges, there were also a lot of joyful moments. I looked around one time, specifically, I can remember going, you know what, this isn't normal. Not a lot of people can relate to me right now in this role, but it's our normal. And we're going to just do what we can with the cards we're dealt, and which is another thing that I love doing. Use the cards you're dealt. So many people shy away from insecurities or challenges that they've had in life. Still bring it. That's part of who you are. Even the challenges, even the negative stuff. Let's utilize it, create your own normal, and then showcase that.
Amazing, amazing. And unfortunately, due to society, it doesn't always come naturally. What advice can you give for people to implement on a daily basis in regards to defining their own standards of self-worth?
Well, I'm a big fan of transforming your mind and creating your own normal. How I was able to do that was with support of trusted friends. I think the biggest advice I could give, the greatest advice I could give young women and really everybody, Miriam, is to find a core group of trusted, responsible, caring, kind individuals. Friendships can come and go, and each of us have friends in different areas of our life that serve some purpose. It's great to have social friends. It's great to have fun friends. It's great to have friends that you can relate to on a corporate level. But everybody needs to have a core group of just really trustful friends. And what that means is that they'll be there for you in the worst of times. But guess what? They get to celebrate with you in the greatest of times too.
And you explained that at one point, this also led to undoing certain relationships as you made a commitment to yourself to live a different kind of life. For many people, it's hard to let go of the negative or toxic relationships. What advice can you give around that?
It's hard to let go of relationships that don't serve you a positive purpose. It's hard because you have to let somebody else know that they don't work in your life anymore and that you're moving on this way and that there's not a place for them. It's a hard conversation to have, but I think it's very important that you're true to everybody in your life. If somebody's not serving you a positive purpose, and even worse if they're hurting you, you need to love yourself enough to let them go. I've got to think that toxic relationships are something that other women have to deal with. And I know for myself, I carried around some toxic relationships way longer than I should have. And all it did was hurt me and hurt my purpose in life. So once I came to understand the toxic and the uplifting through the help of some trusted individuals, I was able to let go of the things and the people that really were holding me back. And boy, did I see things soar once I did that.
When people see the beautiful Mrs. on stage, they see the glitter and the glamour. But in your chapter, you write that you were headed for death on very strict diet and exercise routines. How did you go from there to the healthy, balanced lifestyle you live today?
Well, I've always considered myself a very joyful person. I had a great family life growing up. I was a happy child. I didn't want for anything, but my parents always made sure that I knew the value of the dollar and then the value of everything. So I had a really good balance growing up. I think society just grabbed a hold of me when probably in the teenage years, when everything else toxic was kind of introduced to me. But I started seeing some women role models in society that maybe weren't too positive for me, and I started to emulate people that I shouldn't have been comparing myself to. I don't know that we should compare ourselves to anybody truly, but I know there were very specific models and former Miss USAs that I looked up to, and I said, oh, okay, well, if they can do that, well, I can do that. And so anything that I saw in myself that wasn't up to par in my own eyes, I started changing, but at all costs. And that's the negative part of it. Is change is good. Competition is great. Challenging yourself, I think, is huge, a great life lesson. But never give up on yourself. Always be true to who you are at the core. When I made the statement that my life's a stage, but that I was headed for death, it was because I had a disordered thought process about how to nourish my body and how to proper activity levels, how to properly exercise. I was obviously, in a nutshell, exercising way too much, and I was nourishing myself way too little. That's not a good combination. And so over time, I felt myself get weaker. I didn't have that same zest. I definitely didn't have that light shining around me that other people had always said they loved about me. I was more kind of like a gray cloud hovering over me. And I knew there for a while, everything was just so difficult for me to get out of bed, to have the energy to go on an appearance, to get dressed and show up. Like I said earlier, I wasn't presenting my best self. So finally, my stubbornness took hold in a good way, and I said, no more. I'm not going to do it. I have things I want to do in this life. I need to have my fuel. I need to be energized. I want to properly take care of myself so I can serve others better.
Amazing. And I'm glad to hear that you are living now a healthy lifestyle.
Thank you. I don't want to die.
No,
I have a lot of life to give.
Stay healthy. It wasn't always an easy journey. How did you deal with insecurities and self-doubt? And what advice can you share around that?
Well, when I was struggling with my disordered thought process about how to take care of myself, when I was struggling with insecurities about my self-image, self-esteem, when I really didn't have the confidence there, I turned to my faith quite a bit, but then also to those faithful, trusting individuals around me. I made sure to just be raw with them. What I mean by that is that I took all the labels off. I took all the stage was gone. I was behind the stage. I was behind the curtains with a couple of people that I trusted, saying, this is what's wrong, and I need help. And as soon as I did that, they took me under their wing, and we got the proper help that I needed. And it made a huge difference, Miriam. What I would encourage people to do is, if they're in a tough spot, if they know in their heart of hearts that they're not doing something that's good for themselves, good for their bodies, or good for those around them, to pull someone aside. If there's nobody in their personal life, go to the church, go to a pastor, go to a trusted leader of some sort, go to a parent, whoever. Pull somebody aside and share with them. I think we come together when we're our rawest. One lesson I learned a few years ago was, when I bring authenticity, people bring theirs. It almost gives other people permission to be authentic with me. And to be honest with you, at this point in my life, what else do we want? I'm 35 years old. Do I want not authentic people around me? Bring yourself and bring it raw, and we can take it. And guess what? We can grow from it too.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing. Yes,
You bet. You
thank
bet.
you. And how does having core values fit into this? I know you started asking yourself questions like what matters most to me now, and honestly explored whether or not your daily agenda matched up with it. How do you define core values, and do you re-evaluate over time?
Oh, absolutely reevaluate your core values. Your core values, in my opinion, are what make you you at your core. What matters most to you? For me, family. I wouldn't have my family the way it is intact right now, the blended family unit, without my faith. Wholeheartedly, my faith has gotten me where I am today. And then those trusted friends. So three F's are some of my core values. And I'm going to throw an H in there because my health is a core value. I no longer feel guilty about prioritizing my workouts. I don't feel guilty about prioritizing healthy eating. If I get invited to a social event and I know that it's not really a good place for me to be, or there won't be, it's just not, it's kind of a toxic environment, I won't go. And I used to feel badly about that because we do a lot of entertaining. You know, in my line of work, you have to promote whatever the client, is showcasing. Well, I finally got confident enough to only showcase clients and products and services that I'm proud of and that kind of relate to my core values. I do life better when I'm surrounded by things that blend with those values. It just feels like I don't know, my days double. It feels like I get 48 hours every day. And guess what? I have the energy for it too because I'm passionate about these things. I would encourage folks to really get to know what their core values are at an early age. Don't worry about changing. Don't worry about, they probably will change. But list them out right now where you are. List them out, find out what means most to you right now, and then put that list somewhere safe. And until you memorize what they are, review it every so often. Kind of do a self inventory. Figure out who you are, get to know yourself, and then change it. Absolutely change when necessary.
It's really important, right? Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
As Mrs. Texas United States, you had the opportunity to speak to groups of young ladies about how to properly care for themselves, and today you still share your wisdom through the media. Why is education so important to you?
I think it's increasingly important to take care of yourself, even more so now. A lot of the statistics around the country are astounding. People are getting sicker, there's more disease, people are doing more with less, they're running themselves ragged. I think it's even more important for that message of education to take care of your body. I think it's more important now than ever for that message to take care of your body to get out there. So I love educating groups of women, especially I've done some groups of men and women, but I don't know. I have a soft heart for women, and especially young women, because I know the struggles I went through as a young girl, and I would have loved a me back then. It's funny to think of it that way, but I'm not an expert in every field, but I know what I know, and I love sharing my story. It's nerve-wracking too, Miriam, to put yourself out there and be vulnerable because I never know how people are going to receive my story. And there is an image out there of Lacey Pruett as Mrs. Texas United States 2012. All these roles and titles that I capture, people have an image of what I should be all the time. Well, when I come to them and I share this raw story of heartache and death and illness and depression, I always wonder, oh, did I scare him away? So far, so good, and more so after I speak, I have the emails and the personal accounts that I get to share with people. That's what makes me kind of get emotional about my work right now. It's that I think people are still desperate for the education. They're desperate to know how to do this life better, ups and downs, through the struggles, through identifying what your normal is going to be. how about when life just throws you a loophole? How do you handle that? I think we're always looking for answers. So why not have more educators in the health and wellness industry just firing off the goodness? I think that's really, we need a lot more people firing off the goodness.
Absolutely. And you're doing such a great job, Lacey.
Thank you.
In closing, where can people go best go to connect with you on the internet?
One of my favorite things about being a spokesperson and being a healthy housewife and any of the other roles that I serve is that I love hearing from fans. I love hearing from any followers that I have. I love hearing with people that read my story and relate to it. So I would love to hear any fan mail at info@laceypruett.com. People can go to my website, which is laceypruett.com, and find a way to reach out to me. And also, I'd love everybody to follow the Healthy Housewives team, which is just healthyhousewives.com. And of course, I am everywhere in social media. I would love to hear from anybody who wants to reach out. I'm on Twitter, and that's Lacey W. Pruett. And I'm also on Instagram, Lacey Pruett, and LinkedIn. I think I'm pretty well out there and able to be accessible. But absolutely, I'd love to hear people's stories and share a little bit more about what makes me me.
I will also make sure to put all your links below this video.
Oh, wonderful, good. I was wondering when I was rattling off all that. That's a lot for people to take in, but
yeah, I will make sure. Yes.
I do love hearing. I do love hearing from people who read my story and it affected them in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. And in closing, is there anything else you would like to share today, Lacey?
Oh goodness, I love the message of just being the change you wish to see in the world. Gandhi said it first. It's definitely not my statement, but it's one that I work into every day of my life. So I would challenge anybody watching this to be the change they wish to see in the world. We are on this earth to make those changes and get the energy, get the excitement around it, and go out and just change the world. We can do this.
Absolutely. Amazing thought. You've shared so many powerful lessons, never conform to the society as standards of beauty, health and success, and most of all, never give up on yourself. Thank you so much, Lacey.
Absolutely, Miriam. Great talking with you.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for watching. My name is Miriam Khalladi. For more inspiration, check out our upcoming book at realtalkrealwomen.com.